Battlefield 6 Open Beta just wrapped up its first weekend, and I had an absolute blast playing it. It sucks that I wasn't able to record it live like I usually do for you guys. I had surgery on one of my fingers on Friday, and so I was a little bit loopy all weekend. I was still playing despite having surgery, but I got some footage recorded so I can share my thoughts with you guys. I also don't typically talk about multiplayer games on this channel. As you guys know, it's mostly single player, open world, story narrative driven stuff, but for me, this is one of those rare new multiplayer games that actually caught my attention. I know with EA, it can be kind of like a fool me once, fool me twice situation, but this one seemed like it had the juice for me. Since they revealed gameplay, it looked like they finally understood what made it fun in the first place. Not trying to pretend that I'm some massive Battlefield fan, I'm not, but I was there for Battlefield Bad Company 2 when that was really fun. Battlefield 3 and 4 were a blast for me. I tend to pick up all the Battlefield games and play them for a bit, but I haven't stuck with one for a while. And I feel like my experience so far with Battlefield 6 might change that, especially with the state that Call of Duty is in, obviously the big competitor in this space. From what I played, man, I feel like this has every opportunity to have its own player base, its own core base of people that keep playing the game long term. I hope it does, because obviously we're in a spot where Call of Duty kind of sucks right now, and this is coming from someone who doesn't really love Warzone. I would play it with some friends during, the pandemic, but fast forward to 2025, I would not be caught dead playing Warzone. I find it really boring, and I find the new iteration of Call of Duty over the past year to be so bad that I just stopped playing. And then when they revealed Black Ops 7, whenever that was, I think it was at E3, my eyes rolled so far into the back of my head that I think they popped out. I think they're just still rolling around in the back of my head. So this feels like perfect timing, like perfect storm situation for Battlefield to actually have a good competitive game that retains its own player base. At least that's what I can hope for. We want a healthy community and good competition, not just one juggernaut at the top. Anyways, let's get to specifics. What is the Battlefield 6 beta doing so right? And for me, it's getting back to those core basics and Battlefield feelings that I enjoyed playing those earlier games that I have vivid memories of in high school. The first one for me is getting with your squad, specifically your squad, but also just moving with your entire team towards an objective and just laying out, like jumping on the ground, throwing down your resupply and medic bags, and doing absolutely everything you can to defend a position or to capture a position, throwing down smokes, being smart about your defibrillator revives. All of this stuff melds together, and it creates these magical moments where you're holding off, you're defending a flag, a point, and you suddenly get 3 guys in a row who just line up perfectly for you, or you go on a magical flank, nobody sees you, and you're behind the entire enemy team and you get a bunch of kills. That stuff feels so good. So far, what I'm enjoying the most, I've seen people disagree with this take, but it's the map size. There's 2 maps. I'm only showing you Iberian Peninsula, or Iberian Offensive and Siege of Cairo. These are both, I would say, medium-sized Battlefield maps, and I'm playing Conquest, so you've got like 5 points to fight over. I really like the size of these maps because the downtime between gunfights is not too long, so you don't get that situation where you spawn in, run 2 minutes from one objective to another, and just get sniped in the head, and you're like, wait, what was I doing? Why did I just do that? That is such a frustrating feeling for me in a Battlefield game. So the fact that I'm always close to the action, I'm always like 30 seconds away from a gunfight, feels really good in this game. For me, when I spawn in, I'm almost never trying to go somewhere by myself. Of course, you can get a good flank going that way, but it's always about seeing like where is the flow of action, like where is the battle, because I don't want to get caught by myself and just beamed down by 20 enemies, right next to their HQ or anything like that. But when you do that, I feel like you find out the lanes of the map. You understand the flow of where people move, both on your team and the enemy team, and then you can set up accordingly. You can find a great spot to kind of hold out and defend, whether that's on a point or just off of a point. So far, these maps have great funnels, and yeah, sometimes you'll get flanked, sometimes you will flank the enemy, but for the most part, I feel like I understand where the action is happening, and it's just fun. A big part of the marketing and really the general appeal of a Battlefield game is the destruction. It feels like they got things right this time around, although I will say it's been a little underwhelming. I mean, there are parts of the 2 smaller maps that I've played where I was surprised, like, oh, I can really bring this entire building down, like, to its roots, to its bare bones. It is fun to hop in a tank and just drive through structures and see how they blow apart. There's so many different trees you can knock down too that just obscure the street, and it does feel like you have an impact on the level. It's fun. I'm hoping when the rest of the maps come out, I don't know if they're releasing new maps in the second weekend of the beta or we're going to wait for launch, but I'm hoping for more large-scale destruction. I'm talking like massive building in Battlefield 4 that can fall down, or the Caspian border map where that Space Needle looking structure can fall down. Those are kind of gimmicks at the end of the day, but at the same time, it's stuff like that that can happen that's so memorable that really brings you into the experience, and something I really enjoy. So I hope like the Brooklyn Bridge can fall down on the Manhattan or Brooklyn map. Going back to the classic roles is something that I've really enjoyed so far in the beta. I probably played most of my time on a mix of assault and support, those two. Of course, I'll switch to engineer if there's a vehicle that I need to take down. If I want to use the RPG and start destroying, structures that the enemy team is using for cover, I'll do that with the RPG. I've played a little bit with recon, but not a ton. I've never been that great at battlefield sniping. The most fun I've had is with the support class, and I think it's because it's one of the most active ones. There's always people that need resupplies and health, always teammates that need to get revived and brought back to life. And then they also have these little special abilities where you hit on controller LB and RB, where you sort of supercharge the ability of your class. So for the support, you act as a mobile recharge station for ammunition and health. And so you can just stay with your teammates during gunfights and actively shoot while helping them out. The special ability for the assault class reveals nearby enemy footsteps. And so it's sort of like a heightened awareness mode. And I like that. This is stuff that doesn't fundamentally change, the way you're playing. It's not like a super ability or anything like that. And I think that's exactly how it should be in a grounded, quote unquote realistic modern military shooter like Battlefield. Vehicles are another thing that I've enjoyed so far, insofar as they're not too overpowered. I think some of my least favorite Battlefield memories are playing some of the massive maps in like Bad Company 2 and just getting dominated by tanks. Just like your whole experience is trying to stay alive against tanks, and that sucked. And that's not the experience I've had so far. Of course, you will get killed by someone who's pretty good in a tank and who has a team of engineers on their backside, repairing it the entire time. But I found that either vehicle damage has been changed, or people are just really good about swapping to engineer, putting on their anti-tank mines and RPGs, and just blowing that thing up. And either that, or I'm just more aware and realizing, I just need to avoid the enemy tank. It fits that really good balance of, it's cool that there's a tank on this Battlefield map, but also I'm not getting absolutely crushed by this thing and it's not ruining my experience. But of course, when I get inside of a tank, I'm a big fan of the tank. It's really fun to get on the gunner or to drive the thing and use the massive gun on top and just mow through enemies, mow through the map, completely change, what the battlefield looks like. There's a couple of modes in this beta, and I think it's to appeal to as wide an audience as possible. Makes sense because it's a free beta, but for me, I stuck to the very Battlefield feeling modes. So Conquest and Breakthrough, which I don't remember as much for some reason. I remember Rush more, but from what I can tell, they are very similar modes. I do like the feeling of Breakthrough, but it does really suck when you're losing on that mode because it feels like you can't do anything. You're just getting pummeled and there's no way to recover. Conquest is more my speed, where if you are getting crushed, you just spawn somewhere else on another side of the map and get your squad together, pay attention to the flow of where people are going, and then move as a team to capture an objective. So I really like Conquest, and I like the way it feels in this game. In fact, there's 2 spots in particular that I really like. On Iberian Offensive, there's a sea flag in a building that's at the center of the map, and it is perfectly equidistant between the distant points. So if you capture that and everything seems fine, you can move to help or defend on another point nearby. and it feels like you can get back to that flag very easily. Same goes with Siege of Cairo. I believe it's B flag. If you are on that position and it's safe, you can rotate around the map. And so they feel centrally located and very easily accessible. And yeah, just like good maps, good flow. I can't believe I haven't mentioned it either, but man, this is a looker on PC. This game, it runs really well on my 4090, which, you know, it's a 4090, so obviously, but still, it's like 80 to 100 frames the entire time. No hitches, and performance has been great. The guns feel really good to me, and I don't know, it could be honeymoon phase. I've only played like 5 hours total or something like that, but I mean, everything feels like a pretty solid, accurate laser beam in my hands. The M433 on the Assault class is really good, and they give you a lot of attachments to work with right from the beginning, so that feels awesome. Also with the Assault class, you have a second weapon slot, so typically I think the default is the shotgun, which feels awesome. Like if you're in close range combat with the shotgun and you are on your target, you pull the trigger, it's a one-shot. It feels really good when you use it. It sucks on the receiving end, but hey, that's how it is sometimes. The L110 light machine gun on the support class is awesome. I don't know what else to say. It's a gun, it shoots, it kills people really efficiently, and then with the huge magazine size, you can just hold down the trigger if you're not that great at aiming, and let's be honest, I'm not the best. The SMG on the Engineer class feels really solid. One of the perks of the Engineer class is a tighter hip fire spread, so when you're using an SMG in close quarters combat, it is really deadly. It's nice to play these games and feel like I'm not at a disadvantage because I don't have some super high leveled up weapon. Now, again, this is just a beta that could change on launch, but every single weapon in my hands, it felt good enough to get the job done. And that's a good feeling. We should probably talk about the attachment system, which is new to Battlefield 6. This is very reminiscent of the Pick 10 system, if you remember that from like, gosh, Black Ops 2, I think it was, where you have a currency. So each weapon has a maximum, I believe, of 100 points. Each accessory has a certain cost. And so you can mix and match accessories as long as you're underneath that 100 points, you're good to go. And of course, there are so many different things you can put in each slot on each weapon. From what I was able to unlock, the different sights on the weapons made a big difference for me. I've heard that the suppressor is very good in this game, so I'm interested to play around more with this in Weekend 2 and also on launch. The only times I've not been having a good time in this beta so far is just down for me to map knowledge. It's like walking into the wrong building, not recognizing the situation, realizing there's too many people in there and I shouldn't have walked in there in the first place because this is a brand new map and I'm just getting used to the flow of a Battlefield game again. So when I've been frustrated, it's never been like, this game's bad and it needs to be better. It's been like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I get it. I understand why I died there. It looks like for Weekend 2, they are going to add a map to the rotation, and that's the Brooklyn map. So I'm really excited to see how that map plays out. Yeah, I want to see how this game feels on different sized maps because I absolutely prefer the medium size to the really big one, Liberation Peak. I didn't show any gameplay because I unfortunately didn't record any on that map, but I absolutely preferred my experience on the smaller ones. I want to try a little more breakthrough on Weekend 2. I want to see how that rush style mode feels a little bit more in this game. And I also want to get more used to the maps that are more vehicle heavy, you know, and really sort of reorienting myself around destroying those tanks, destroying those jets, stuff like that. I don't know if the Brooklyn map is going to be that big, but I kind of hope it is so I get more of that well-rounded Battlefield experience. But yeah, guys, I'd say overall, I'm really enjoying my time with Battlefield 6. I'm excited for the full launch, which comes out in 2 months. This is just enough of a taste for me. I'm not going to spend too much time on the beta because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to start from ground zero when the game comes out, so it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But this was just enough to wet my beak, to really get me excited and invested in the full launch in this game. And so I'm going to try my best to rally some friends to hop on this thing and get a squad of 4 together, because I think that's really where the magic happens with Battlefield. It's fun when you're able to get a group together, and work as a team and attack that objective and defend and do all of the things that make Battlefield really fun and special. And from what I played, man, I think this game has a great foundation. I think they can build from this, and as long as they support it properly and fix big mistakes when they come along and release new content at a reasonable pace and not fall into the same live service trappings that games like Call of Duty and Fortnite have done with the ridiculous skins and all of that stuff, I think this game is going to be in pretty good shape. I was pleasantly surprised after playing this. But of course, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about this beta. Did you hop in? Did you experience it? And what did you think? Especially, I want to hear from you guys that play more Battlefield than I do. If you consider yourself a Battlefield fan, what do you think about the Battlefield 6 beta? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. That is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. Also, sub to the channel for more videos like this and ring the bell so you don't miss my next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.